identify this specific day. Then there was a I don't know if it's called a social event, but then there was an evening event afterwards or a dinner afterwards. So that's the day I'm referring to.
Yeah, when we went to the paper mill afterwards.
Perfect. So that's the day, yeah. So I just want to think first about the, not going to the paper mill afterwards, I'm talking about the day. Do you remember any concerns being raised in the office about any professional development matters?
So actually thinking about this, I don't actually remember any. There was nothing being discussed regarding their CIPD within the office. The only thing that I remember that did happen is that Alice and Izzy had mentioned to me, just in a passing comment, they're not doing their CIPD anymore. So there wasn't necessarily a conversation. It was just, they had mentioned to me that they won't be doing it anymore. And just that Lee had said that there wasn't budget in order for them to do so. So it wasn't a conversation. I think it was more like a statement that they said in the office. And then later on, when we were down at the mill in the paper mill, they were discussing or asking about the different levels of CIPD. So you have different levels. You have level 3, which is like entry level, which is a bit like the equivalent of, say, like sixth form. You've got level 5, which is the equivalent of like a degree, and then level 7, which is like your master's. I don't know if that's the technical terms of what they are, but that's just how I look at it. And we were just explaining the different levels, and I think Katie was just explaining to them like what sort of levels they could go at and things like that. But there wasn't like a long conversation or anything. And it actually shocked me because I look after the apprenticeship levy for the company. And I know that there's budget in there, and I know that there's quite a lot of funding that could have funded their CIPD. Obviously, I would never mention that to them, but I was a bit shocked when they did mention it to me.
Do you know what they were told about what professional development they could have?
I think Alice was told that she would have to start at level 3. And I know that Izzy already had level 3. I'm just trying to remember. And I think they didn't want to put Alice on a level 5 for some reason. I don't know what the reason was, but I had started on a level 5. So I think maybe in comparison, Alice had thought, well, how comes Alicia could jump straight in at level 5 and I can't? But it wasn't discussed per se. I just know that them sort of comments were made.
And those comments that you mentioned were made, do you remember if they were in an open plan office, or do you remember where they were made?
No. So when they mentioned to me that they couldn't do their CIPD, it was in an office, in the meeting room. And as I said, I didn't think much of it, because it was purely just, we were just ready to start a call when they just said, oh, by the way, we're not doing our CIPD anymore. And I just thought, I just said, that's a shame. And then that was it. But it was in a closed room with myself, Izzy and Alice. So there wasn't anyone else there. It was just us.
So this might sound obvious, but I'll ask it anyway. If it was said that 5 people, including a VP, had overheard that and had complained to Lee about the conversation, what would you say?
Well, I don't see how that would have happened, because we were in a meeting room. We weren't very loud. And I don't even know if there was a VP in there. I don't remember a VP being in the office that day. But no one was there, and we were in a closed room. So I don't think that's right.
And now thinking about the evening, you said that you went to the paper mill. What kind of discussion was had at the paper mill?
It was just curiosity, I think, just asking about what the different levels were and what they entailed and the differences between them. Because obviously Izzy had done her level 3 and I've done my level 5, and Katie's done her level 7, and some of the rest of the team have done level 7. So we were just discussing like the differences between them, and like why they're classed as like a step up and what other things you might cover. There was no mention of them not being able to do it or anything. It was purely just, I think, the levels, and out of curiosity, what one that they want to go for, kind of thing.
And is there, from your perspective, was there anyone at the paper mill that might have overheard that conversation? Members of staff that might have overheard or anything?
No, we were the only ones from the company that were at the paper mill. It wasn't particularly busy. There was no one else around that was from the company. It was just us.
Okay. If it was said that if something was brought to Lee's attention, a concern or a matter, that it would then sort of grow and blossom, from Lee's perspective, if I could say that, what would you say?
I do feel like it's almost dramatised, maybe exaggerated. Prime example, when I was on a call with, it was a party planning call. I was on the call with Catherine, Alice, Izzy, myself and Lee. And prior to this call, I had met with Lee, and Lee had asked them to send some invitations in a certain way and to some new starters. So he wanted to give them the opportunity to come, people that hadn't already joined us yet. And he just said to send it to the individuals directly. And then on a catch-up call with Lee prior to being on the call with everyone, just me and him, I'd said, so they are doing that. They're just going to send it to the manager as well, just so that they can get, double the chances of getting the responses back, because we needed to know the responses as soon as possible. And it just got absolutely blown out of proportion. Lee jumped on a call. His tone of voice was very loud. I would consider it a little bit shouty. And Alice was trying to explain to him that, Lee, we get the same end result. We're still getting the same end result. We're just doing it a slightly different way to what you had planned. And he turned around to Alice and had said, are you the head of HR? As if to question her authority to sort of change the way it was done. But I mean, it was an email to a new starter about what food they wanted at a party. I didn't think it was that. It didn't need to be as explosive as it was, but purely because it didn't go the way that he wanted it to. He had exploded. And I'm sure there are other occasions where things have been exaggerated or like blown out of proportion. I can't think off the top of my head. Which is really annoying. But yeah, I have been there for some occasions where that's happened.
Okay, you used the term shouty. Do you want to provide some more detail about that?
I just didn't think he had expressed himself in a professional manner. He had a very raised voice. This was the second time that I've been on a call with Lee when this has happened. The second occasion where this has happened was a long time prior. And I was on a call with Lee, Daniel, who has left business, and Katie, and I believe Catherine. And it was regarding one of our client accounts. Lee had been reviewing the contract of the client account and had basically claimed that the client wants us to do something in a certain way, and the client has said this, this, and this. Daniel had worked on that client account for, say, 3 years, and Daniel didn't really agree with what had been said. So Daniel had questioned and just asked, who was it that you spoke to with this client account? Because they've never let me do that prior. And Lee got very shouty and had raised his voice then and shouted back at Daniel to say that Daniel was wrong and that he was right. And I think, it did come across quite unprofessional.
Sorry to interrupt. Would you say that that what you saw on the examples that you've given, was it a level of speech which was within the range of professional responses, or
No, I don't think it was in that range. I think it was sort of, it wasn't professional, and it was very appropriate. I've never been on a call where I've felt that there's been raised voice in that manner. As I said, it was quite shouty, and quite unexpected, to be honest. So I've never been in that sort of manner. Another example of, I've just come back to me, of, I don't know whether this could be classed as him exaggerating, but Lee has told me directly that the US, including